is the sitting governor. That slim lead also within the margin of error. Now, Barack Obama won Indiana narrowly in 2008, but it is normally a solidly red state. Nationally, Trump is down by nearly 7 points in two-way polling averages. We no longer have to just look at polling data. We can look at data gathered from what is actually happening on the ground in terms of voter registration and early voting. For instance, the Florida Democratic Party has submitted about 488,000 voter registration forms, while Republicans have submitted roughly 60,000, according to state reports. And data on early voting in 7 states, 6 of which are battleground states, shows the party affiliation of early voters favoring Democrats in 5 of them. Democratic Party affiliation of early voters is up in 4 of those 7 states compared to 2012, though we will get a clearer picture closer to the election. As has been predicted, the ground operation of the Clinton campaign is, so far, pretty clearly outperforming the non-existent one of the Trump campaign. Joining me now, Sabrina Siddiqui, political reporter for The Guardian, and Hari Sevugan. He's former national press secretary for the Democratic National Committee, principal at 270 Strategies. And Hari, let me start with you because you know this stuff really well. What's jumping out to you about the sort of both the combination of the early data we have and the polling data right now about the state of where things are?
Well, the state of where things are is Donald Trump needs to expand the map, and instead it's shrinking on him, right? So if we're looking at Texas, the poll that you pointed out, Indiana is within the margin of error. Utah is tied. I mean, Utah hasn't gone for a Democrat since Lyndon Johnson, and there's a real possibility that Donald Trump comes in 3rd there. What's really jumping out at me that I saw today was a Baldwin Wallace poll in Ohio, where Hillary is now up 4, and Ohio had been pretty good for Trump up till the last 2 or 3 weeks, where 7 out of 9 polls have now swung to Hillary. But really, the movement in that poll came from his coalition. You know, a month ago, when he was up 17 with men in this Baldwin and Wallace poll, he's only up 3. A month ago, he was up 20 with independents. He's now down 8. He's only getting 70% of that Republican support. So he's losing the coalition that was holding him together, even in really close swing states.
And that actually segues, Sabrina, to one of the interesting dynamics in terms of the Senate map, which is Trump is losing part of his coalition as the presidential candidate, but that doesn't mean they're falling away from the Senate races. So you see very close races there. Even you've got the Senate candidate outperforming Trump in New Hampshire, where the incumbent Kelly Ayotte is still up about 2 points. Richard Burr, North Carolina, up about 2 points. Katie McGinty is tied with Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania there. So, and even Wisconsin, which people thought would be a blowout, is very close. So, so far, Republicans are managing to essentially hold their own against the downward pressure of the last week of Trump news. Do you think that's going to last, Sabrina?
Well, it's a little early to say. I think that, as you just pointed out, there are some Republican Senate incumbents in particular who have been successful at running these parallel races where they focused more on their own states and kept a comfortable distance from Donald Trump, and it's worked. But we don't yet have the information for the real impact of not just the tape with the comments he made bragging about assaulting women, but also now these accusers coming forward and actually saying that Donald Trump sexually assaulted them. We don't have any polling to see if there's been any shifts since then. I think what Republicans would be concerned about in these races is, given how competitive some of them are, one is, what is the likelihood that undecided voters break to Hillary Clinton? Certainly they're more likely to break to her at this point than Donald Trump, which means that those voters could follow on the Senate ticket or the House tickets as well as what's the likelihood that the turnout is suppressed among Republicans, given this civil war that's broken out between Donald Trump and members of his own party?
Yeah, Hari, I wonder what you think about what the floor here is, right? So I keep sort of generally, it's been my feeling of the equilibrium of the race essentially will be between McCain and Romney, that partisan polarization is such a powerful gravitational force, it will keep pulling the race in that direction, and that, you know, any major party nominee's floor is essentially 40%. Donald Trump seems intent on testing that. What is your sense of what that floor can be, you know, if he stays in this kind of us against the world mode?
Yeah, I don't doubt that that's true sort of in the support number, but what I'm really interested in is the turnout number, right? Can he actually turn these people out? So even in, you know, for the Senate races, where if I were a Republican Senate candidate, what I'd be concerned about is not just undecideds flipping, because that's absolutely true, because there's pressure there, but are people going to turn out because there's no operation? You know, if the RNC is pausing on their victory fund in the wake of these revelations, that has huge consequences for Senate campaigns as well as for Trump.
Yeah, and Sabrina, that's one thing we've seen. I mean, I think that all throughout the fluctuations of polling, Robbie Mook, who is the campaign manager on the Clinton side, is a veteran of the sort of Obama organizing world. It's something they put a tremendous amount of effort, pride, investment in. You know, you can see pictures of Robbie making calls in Colorado. This is something they know how to do, even when polling was bad for their candidate, say after the 2 weeks after 9/11.
And that's what's so critical here. It's not just that the Clinton campaign has such a substantial ground game, and certainly unlike anything that Donald Trump has. Now you have certain resources being pulled back from Donald Trump, potentially Republicans wanting to invest those in these down ballot races to preserve their majorities. And also, there is no operation to really save him when he is in fact failing. I think that, you know, that's why you see him trying to already frame the narrative of a potential loss. All of this talk where he's saying the polls are rigged, you know, the media is conspiring with the Clinton campaign and the Republican establishment to defeat him. That is really Donald Trump actually acknowledging that he's losing and trying to define that ahead of time, which is terrifying because who knows what kind of revolt that might cause come November 8th.
Harry, quickly, there's some case being made that Trump people are like, we're going to make this as nasty as possible so that we depress Democratic voter turnout. What do you think about that approach?
I think that's been the Republican strategy for a while. I think people are going to turn out. I think people understand the stakes in this election. And I'll just add, you know, I agree Trump is trying to set up his loss here. But really, it's for Trump TV. And, you know, I think the plan going forward is really going to be to set up his future business enterprises, not his political future.
Yeah, that increasingly is the way that it is looking, although who knows? There's so many twists and turns thus far. I have no idea what tomorrow will bring. Sabrina Siddiqui, Harry Sevugan, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
That is all in for this evening. The Rachel Maddow Show starts right now. Good evening, Rachel.
You know what tomorrow will bring, my friend?
Saturday?
Saturday.
You know what the next hour of my life is going to bring? Some whiskey, which I earned, because this week was insane.
Yeah, if you know, I have a full bar in my office, and you're welcome to stop in. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, my friend. And thanks to you at home for staying with us this hour. If you're drinking with Chris Hayes over the course of this next hour, have one for me. Bye.